How's it going, my friends? Back with another one today, and we are going to be speaking about one of my favorite secret lenses that really nobody talks about. There's a lot of YouTube content out there, basically talking about the like few prime old school vintage lenses. You have people talking about the Pentax SMC lenses, the Takumars. You have people talking about the Helios. You have some people talking about Voigtlanders, things like that. But this one I haven't seen anybody speak about. This is the Auto Yashinon 50 1.7, 50 millimeter 1.7. This lens is one of my favorites. You know, looking for vintage lenses on eBay is kind of like searching for treasure. I mean, you can go through, do your research. You're going to buy probably, say you buy 15 lenses. 5 of them suck, 5 of them are decent, and then probably 7 of them are decent, and then you'll have like 3 that are really, really good. This is one of the top lenses I've ever bought, and it's super cheap, guys. This thing, I just checked eBay price. I bought this for I think $40, but I just checked eBay prices, and they're between like $40 to $70. This one is pretty, it's like basically in perfect shape, and I got it for $40, so you can really find some good deals on there if you hunt. This lens, I don't get excited to talk about lenses very often. This one is great. Okay, now obviously this is an old school lens, manual focus, but I think that especially when you're using lenses, just to go out there and shoot and document stuff, like, you're not on a paid job, or you're not shooting people, that are like, to pose in front of you or something like that. You're just going out and documenting. This is a great lens to use because the manual focus is so much fun. Don't get scared of using manual focus lens. I'm going to go through all the points about this lens, but just as a preface, don't get scared about using manual focus lenses. They're a lot of fun. You can find some great deals, and they're really a joy to use. You get way more into the subject and way more into the operation of your camera rather than just pressing a button to focus. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing, making sure people are in the right ranges, making sure that you're moving back and forth with them, or you're placing people in the right subject. It's just fun. So I'm going to talk about this lens because it's one of my favorites, and using it with the Z camera has been just a game changer. Like I've said before in my other videos, using manual focus old lenses on DSLRs is not even a fraction of as fun as it is with the Z cameras now that we have focus peaking. It's just way more fun. So let's talk about the first thing that everybody's wondering, the bokeh. What's the bokeh like on this? Let me tell you something about this lens. The bokeh is beautiful. Beautiful, just straight up. The out of focus elements, the way it renders the background blur, the way it separates a subject from background is unique in this lens. It has a unique characteristic. Things are beautiful, soft, buttery, creamy. I mean, I don't really know what else you want me to say about it. It's just beautiful. It's not busy. It's not distracting. Everything kind of blends in together and just is a smooth transition and creates one type of picture that honestly kind of looks like artwork. Kind of looks like a painting or something. The way it just separates the two from the background. It's not a super crazy sharp lens, but in the middle, it's plenty fine. And I've said this on a few of my other videos also. Lenses nowadays, in general, a lot of lenses are too sharp. That can be a big problem when you're shooting people. It's like nowadays we've had this obsession with sharpness, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of gone overboard because things are so freaking razor sharp. Sometimes I'll be doing a portrait with my S lenses, and I'll zoom in, and like you literally can see every single pore in their nose, and you have to do some skin softening. You don't have that type of problem with these old lenses. Yes, they're more work. It's because you have to actually work with them. You have to manually focus things. There's just they don't perform all around as good as new lenses, but there's a character and a quality to them that you just can't get with the new stuff. So the bokeh is really, really pretty. It's something that's very unique to this lens, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. I really do. This is a great portrait lens, okay? Something interesting about this lens that's not like any of the others that I've used. The flare renders really, really differently and uniquely. So it doesn't have a hood on it. I'm sure, well, it's threaded on the inside here, so I'm sure you can find a hood. I use it without one because honestly, when I'm shooting with this, I like the dream quality effect. When light gets into this thing, it bounces around everywhere, and the flare that you get is almost like it can come, there's like circles, but almost sometimes you get like flat circles if you see what I mean. Like they're flat circles that go like 3D, and they kind of surround the people that you're shooting. They're very, very unique. They're very pronounced on this when you're shooting backlit subjects or into the sun. Super, super, pronounced flares. But I love it because it adds this dream quality to it. I think it's disappointing that a lot of new lenses don't render flare. And I know that this is a specific thing. There's a lot of times, when you don't want flare. Perfect examples when you're shooting backlit. When we're at a wedding, we're shooting backlit family shots. Family formals. I don't want a bunch of flare in there, but when you're doing portraits, creative portraits, flare can be really, really cool, and it can add an element that's dreamlike, but also more, reminds you of something real. Like, because if you go outside and you look straight in the sun, or you kind of turn your eye towards the sun, you see flare. Stuff, light bounces around in your eye, and it's almost like you get flares in real life. So why not have some with the lens as well? I personally really, really love it. Let's see here. It's a great portrait lens, like I said, very sharp in the middle. Stop down, it's extremely sharp. I just shoot this thing at 1.7 pretty much all the time. But it's very low contrast, okay? It's a low contrasty lens. It doesn't have a bunch of contrast. I like it, but if you bring it, all the photos that I brought into Lightroom, I was able to bump up the, it saves. It saves everything. So you can really bump up that contrast if you want to, if that's kind of the black and white that you like to shoot, or the color you like to shoot. You like high contrast images, the information is there. So you can always bring it up in post, but the stuff straight out of camera, low contrast, which I actually like because I like to be able to work with stuff and manipulate it, after the fact if I'm going to do some edits. Peaking highlights with this thing. I've said this a few times. Using old manual focus vintage lenses with DSLRs, in my opinion, it's out. I don't like it because you got to rely on that little dot on the bottom left. It's not a fun experience. Focus peaking with the mirrorless cameras, like legit, I just love using these old lenses because it just brings them to life. It's so easy to sweep the focal plane. You just set, this lens, the adapter I have on here is just a screw mount for the M42. It's not going to focus to infinity, but there's a good range, about 6 feet range that you can, sweep the plane. And you just, use your focus peaking, and it sweeps right across. You can see immediately and easily what you're focused on. And you don't have to rely on a stupid, little dot on the side. And it's almost as fast as autofocus. It really is. If you get good at it, it should be very easy. Focus peaking brings these things to life. One other thing that's huge, I have a few other manual focus lenses I'm going to talk about in different series, but one of the biggest things that I look for when buying a vintage lens that I'm actually going to use is how easy it is to focus, okay? Now, obviously, it's not, even the hardest ones, you can move it with your hand, but I need, when I'm focusing something on a camera, right, I need it smooth and fast and quick. Turning back and forth, especially this is a portrait lens, I need it to be able to move fast. I don't want a long-ass throw that I have to crank, and then crank back to get back to infinity. I really don't like that. I want a short throw, like this. That's it. It's like half a turn, and that goes through the whole range of focus. And so that allows you, a little bit makes a large difference, but that allows you to get to where you need fast. It's very smooth. It's very, very short throw. It's not long, so it's very nice to be able to slap this on the camera, and then this focusing is just super easy. Build quality, it's a vintage lens. All the stuff made back in the day. Just, like I said, it's like a rock. You could huck it across the room, and it's not going to damage anything. It's all made of metal. It's very, very good quality. And, there's not much to be said about that anymore to be said. The thing I want to really touch on and get across to you guys, though, is there's a dream-like quality to this lens. It's not for everybody, and it's not for every scenario. But if you want to go out and take photos with a kind of a creamy flare, almost sometimes washed out if you're shooting into a strong backlight, a very ethereal type of vibe, this is the lens for you. And personally, I absolutely love it. So, I would definitely recommend this lens, $40. This is a dream lens in my opinion, guys. I'm going to give this one, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a 9, a solid 9. The only thing that I would take, that I would take a point away for is the contrast. But like I said, you can really just bump that up in Lightroom. It maintains all the data and all the picture information perfectly, so you really don't have to worry about it. It's just in camera. It's not very contrasty, but not very hard. With the technology we have, you can bring it in a Lightroom, bump it up yourself. So Bokeh, the strong points, great portrait lens. This one I have does not focus to infinity. You're going to have to get, I think there are like, certain Z-mount adapters now that are, kind of advanced, and they will allow you to focus to infinity. This one, like I said, it's just this, it's a metal little screw on for the M42 mount, and it's just M42 to F mount, and then I put on the F to Z adapter and just put it on the camera. Super easy, but it's a portrait lens, so I like to keep people about 6 feet away from me, and I shoot like that. So, highly recommended, guys. Hopefully this helps. Leave the feedback. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and thank you for the continued support, my friends. Until the next video.